Hello, everyone. I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the final installment of the Something Wicked This Way Comes book study. With me, as always, is my faithful TA, Big Al. Say hi, Al.
Hi, Al.
And we're ready to do this. This is gonna be fun. So, let some people.
As old as that is, it still makes you laugh, which is why I keep doing it.
It does. It's just part of the shtick. You gotta keep doing it. So,
yeah.
I'm all for it. How's your day, Al?
It was fine. Normal. Nothing new.
Yeah. No, didn't watch anything cool or anything.
No, I was kind of more just kind of took a day off of that. I was contemplating the next book, which is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yes. Hey, wait, can people hear us? They're saying any sound? Hello? Can you guys not hear us? I can hear me just fine, I think. Yeah.
I could hear when I turned off the mute.
Yeah, me too. Mommy said you can. Daniel Heron, are you just messing with us, or do you have your sound off or something? Melissa Harris can hear us. Okay, cool.
Yep, we're good.
Troy said just stopping by to say hi. Can't stay up tonight. Sorry, I'll catch you something. I lost it. All right, thanks for hopping by, Troy. Thanks for that, Troy and Annette. Good to see you guys as always. But yeah, we'll catch you next time. Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, I found out that those of you with a Kindle and are part of Amazon, in the Amazon family, there is a free copy, a free download of the book, which is shockingly short.
Oh yeah, it's a novella.
It's only 40 some pages.
Yeah.
And I found on YouTube there's several versions of an audiobook. The one I found was by Ian Holm.
Oh, nice, cool.
It's kind of cool, Bilbo.
Very cool.
Well, the first Bilbo.
Very cool. Yeah, so that's why I picked that too, because we only have a couple short weeks there before Halloween. So I figure we can do that in 2 installments. It's just a short little novella, so that should be easy. So yeah, that's all there. What else was I gonna say? I was gonna say something, but I can't remember what it is. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to Mohammed, Casey Scott, Casey Lark. Who else is here? Chris Damon, Daniel Heron already said. Cool. As we're letting people pile in to finish up this book with us, I do want to remind folks. So let me see. Let me get the screen share up here. There we go. Yep. Look at that. The timer is down. See the clock there? Available for a limited time, 5 days and counting. So the timer is set. You see that okay on the screen there? See that timer up there at top?
Yes, I do.
Yes. So
wait a minute. You're writing a book? When did this happen?
You're funny. You should have done the classic campaign.
Campaign? You have a campaign?
Hey, you might as well get that dust that off and get ready for it again, because I'll be talking a lot more about the new campaign once this wraps up here at the end of the week. So but look at that, we're
new campaign,
$4 away from 24,000. Not bad.
Somebody buy a bookmark.
That's right. Yeah, buy the bookmark set rather for $5, so you can ensure that you get all 3 of those lovely ladies, and that'll put us over to 24,000. So
but of course today is a very special day in literature.
Yes, it is.
It is the day that 70 years ago.
Yeah.
170 years ago. Nice round number.
Mm-hmm.
We lost the forever immortal Edgar Allan Poe.
Indeed. Yes, Edgar Allan Poe. So we both were tweeting or Instagramming about it today. This is for those who are new to the stream or just happened upon it, just to give you the little spiel again. It's the anthology series that I wrote all the stories in it myself, and I've got an amazing slew of artists on here. That's the John Mayall and Kyle Ritter cover there that we were just looking at. It's a variant cover there. And then in that interior story for that tale is illustrator Monk. Glorious artwork there. We've got the Dave T. cover there as well. The Indiegogo exclusive that'll never be offered again. Dave T's doing the interconnected pages with the librarian, greeting us and welcoming us into the inner stacks to tell us these stories. And then you've got that was a variant cover too. It's no longer available. Ralph Del Mundo doing the art for that glorious story. So that's very cool.
I'm digging the art for
The Lady Inanna.
No, the winter.
Yeah.
Fire and Winter.
Stuff. Yeah, I can show you. He's almost. I've almost got it all in. That's the last bit's coming in this week. That and another page or two by Dave T. So, Keyoung Lee has turned all of his art in. That's Keyoung Lee's third story. That's the cover for his variant that he did, and then glorious art.
It's all. I mean, come on, you've got 4 quality artists.
Mm-hmm. Indeed,
doing this. I mean, and a quality author.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Thank you. And Jay Shirokini doing the lettering. So there you go. Quality lettering as well.
And a quality letterer.
So some things won't be offered ever again. These prints right here, these signed and limited prints, that's limited for a reason. So they're done. Like whenever the campaign closes, that's it. I put the end to that number, and that's all that you're going to see of those. And the Indiegogo exclusive cover story. I don't know that we'll offer these bookmarks ever again, because great, glorious Pablo Romero art, which is so wonderful. So if you haven't backed yet, you'll want to jump on that. Like I said, the clock is counting us down. So there we go. And I offered this out. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter the other day, but Keyoung Lee actually did a pinup for Lila, the waitress character in the Discovering Evelyn story. So I put that on Twitter the other day here, and this is his pinup. Says, "I meet Lila, the waitress at the Paradise Club, in Discovering Evelyn, the third tale from Tales from the Stacks. The in-demand store closes this Saturday, as I said. Want a free print of this art by Runefest?" That's Keyoung Lee. "With the book, then you need to help us reach 28,000 before the campaign closes." So look at that. Isn't that glorious? That's just Keyoung Lee art at his best. I mean, he's just amazing. So if you want a free print of that to be included, like, share, add on, whatevs, help us get to that 28,000, and we'll before we call it a day, before we call it a campaign. So that's good stuff. And another thing I'll show just while we're welcoming people in here before we get started with the book study is I got some really cool fan art of this. So the first one is right here. Muhammad's right here. Muhammad just showed me last night. He was doing a sketch for the Lady Inanna, which is just amazing. Really is something to see. So let me share that. This is some of the fan art. We've gotten some fan art in before too. I'll show you one more that I don't think I ever showed actually. So let's see. Share this tab. Yeah. There we go. You see that okay? Look at that. Yeah. Now I've seen Muhammad's work before, and I got to tell you, Muhammad, you just a short time that you sent me the last stuff, you've gotten like 10 times better than the last time you sent me stuff. And this design, I mean, I just love this. You got the white lock of hair. I love her in purple. That's really cool. I never thought about putting her in purple. That's a great color for the purple and gold. And I love this. I love the eyeball behind her, because that's actually, I don't know if I've ever showed that frame, but as the boys they've snuck into the Lady Inanna's tent and they're watching her, there is this really great sequence where you just see Sherman's eyeball up close, just like staring at her, drinking her in, So I love that you did that. That's just such a cool design. And you got the hot sex. I like the little bead thing, going around her and everything for the belly dancing.
Look at that little tone butt too.
Look at that. Yeah, I got a little tone in there.
Got that little muscle tone.
That's right. You're not gonna hate that. So good. How do let's see. So I wanted to show something else. Nope, that's not it. There goes. This is Dr. Yeisley.
Woo.
Dr. Yeisley is usually with us. I don't know if he's here tonight. He did this a while ago. I thought I shared it, but just in case, he does this the 3D renderings in Dad's studio. And so he did a rendering of Lady Inanna, Evelyn, and Winter all together there, which I just absolutely freaking love. I mean, that's just how awesome is that too, right?
I'll bet as an author, that must be very flattering to you to have inspired.
Oh yeah.
people to do the fan art and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's just no greater compliment when people are taking the time to, to take a look at your, my Facebook. There's Fanboys 3.
So the man who teases me about being on Facebook goes on
I
Facebook
went on
himself.
Facebook because the only way I know to share something is to do it. You like that image that's up there? I think I took it down before you could see it really well. All right, no, it's still up there. Is it up there? No. Yes, I still have it up there. Okay, look at that. Let me see if I can open this up. Tornado sirens, meh. Gunshots down the street, eh. Literal poltergeist. Well, this is inconvenient. Unexpected doorbell. Oh dear God, that's totally me. That is totally me. Like, who can it be now? Like that song by Men at Work. Good stuff. No, the only reason I'm doing Facebook here is because the sharing it in the PayPal stream is the only way I can share it on the Chrome tab right now because I still haven't figured out how to share a window that works in StreamYard. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
You
got quiet.
I didn't have anything to say. Which
Steven
is shocking.
Cruz, how come you don't share my fan art? I know it's nude photos of me with the characters' faces over my butt, but come on. Wow. All right. So shall we go ahead and dig into something wicked this way comes?
I think we should.
We are last time we made it up through chapter 38. And now we're going to go chapter 39 through the end of the book. So
got my book here.
Got your book? Yep. So a good hefty slog, but we've been doing pretty well with this, and it really goes fast. I mean, even for all the exposition and kind of talking you get, I think it's really. How was your experience reading the end of this?
It did. It was surprisingly. It was a surprising short period of time in the amount of book that it took. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot going on at this leading up to one last confrontation.
Mm-hmm. Get down here. I like. I don't think it's come on the StreamYard yet.
Charles Holloway is a badass.
Yeah,
hello.
I know he's really great.
I think that was word for word. I posted on your thing when I was almost finished. I was like, Charles. It's like Charles Holloway's a badass.
Charles Holloway is definitely awesome. It's so cool. I know Al was like, I'm so happy that the old guy got a chance to shine, or whatever you were saying.
54. It's like 54-year-old man saving the day.
It's really cool, but you really get to see his great character progression too, and that's what I love. Even in this portion of the book we're reading here for tonight, because you start out on 39, and at the very least they've finally come together, right? The boys and the old man, because they're really the ones who are. And I say old man, he's not old, but he thinks of himself as old man, So these boys pining to be older, this, quote unquote, old man pining to be younger. They finally come together and have this meeting of minds, because it's been a theme. Charles would never really talk to his son. He just feels so old. And what could he have in common with his son? And, Jim never wants to really let on about all of the things he knows and dreams about, So you've got this finally there together. The circumstances, the danger have put them together in the library there at night, and they're trying to figure out what to do. Did you make anything of the setting of the library, of where they are? Did you think that was any kind of import or anything before I walk all over it?
Well, it seemed to be. It was Charles's. I don't want to say his happy place, because it's where he went to contemplate. It had become a second home to him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I mean, that's where do you go when you're feeling terrible, when you're upset? You want to go to a place that's like a home to you, and that just always seemed to be. He always seemed to be more comfortable there than he did at his actual home.
Yeah, and what I like too, the pictures that the library has been painting the pictures of the library the book has painted for us thus far, is these really cool images of these far off. I'm sorry. Do you mind turning your headphones down just a touch? I'm hearing some
I had
staticky, blippy stuff going on. It always fixes it after you turn in your headphones down. So
I did.
okay.
Well, I had before, and I did a little more.
Oh,
so.
well, if it keeps on happening, maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it's just connection. But yeah, Casey Lark said the library is a holy place, so to speak. Yeah, that's interesting, right? So these these villains aren't monsters like that can be driven away with a crucifix, or something like that. The book goes into that. But we'll look at what does drive them away, and that tells us what kind of monsters they are in terms of what they really truly represent. They're not demons, so to speak. They're inner demons. Even more to the point. But before we get too much in the library, there, let's see. Right at the beginning of chapter 39, so much here to talk about. So I don't want to. All right, so the boys come in. Will said, "Dad, you've always helped." "Thanks, but that's not true," Charles Holloway examined on one very empty hand. "I'm a fool, always looking over your shoulder to see what's coming instead of right at you to see what's here. But then, for what salve it gives me, every man's a fool. What means you got to pitch in all your life, bail out, board over, tie rope, patch plaster, pat cheeks, kiss brows, laugh, cry, make do against the day you're the worst fool of all and shout help. Then all you need is one person's answer. I see it so clear across the country tonight. Lie cities, towns, and mere jerkwater stops for fools. So the carnival steams by, shakes any tree, it rains jackasses. Separate jackasses, I should say, individuals with no one they think of, no one actual to answer their help. Unconnected fools. That's the harvest the carnival comes smiling after with its threshing machine. Unconnected fools. The ones who are so wrapped up in their own woes, are wrapped up in their own desires or, pity parties or whatever, the ones that aren't forging connections with those around them. Now, I know that my audience knowing me to be a incredible introvert, is going to think, watch your back, bro. But this doesn't mean you have to be Mr. Gregarious socialite either. It means those who don't forge connections, those who don't, who don't take the time to make good friends, even if they don't want to go out and party all the time, right? But we see that, in the book here with Charles Holloway loves his son and Will loves his dad, but they can't talk to each other. They just have such a wall between them, specifically Charles to them. And this is the beginning of it. This is really good character progression because we see Charles in the end, he's learned his lesson. They all learn their lessons and they're all like really at a good end of a journey in the end. But in these couple chapters here where they're just in the library, they're kind of figuring out how to do it. And I love these long rambling, soliloquies that Charles Holloway goes on here because he says some really cool stuff in them. But then you can see him just kind of missing the mark or jumping off on this tangent. And then he frequently stops and he's like, oh, hell, what am I saying? If I said anything of worth, I don't know what I'm doing, And so he's losing, he's building his trying to find his self-confidence. The boys, at the same time, no, they don't know half the stuff he's saying, but at the same time, they're just thrilled that he's talking to them, And that's it's a really cool scene. Even though you've got one character doing so much dialogue, it actually really works because you've been kind of craving this for the whole book. You've been craving them to talk to each other. Did you see that too? Or?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, you have this one part here, and I was just looking at it when you started mentioning it. He was when he goes, "Dad," said Will, amazed. "I never knew you could talk." He's like, "You should hear me here late at night. Nothing but talk." Charles Holloway.
Yeah.
Holloway shook his head.
Exactly. Yeah, Casey looks as unconnected like Mr. Nightshade. He's not exactly reaching out. Exactly. Nightshade, Jim's that's his big lesson he's got to learn. He's
yeah,
very
but you were talking about the lonelies and the ones that seem to have put up walls or just kind of feeling alone. You can say, well, we always do that with Charles Holloway, but you have these two friends, but you could see that rift before the circus came to town. There seemed to be this little rift starting.
Yeah,
between the two because Jim is dark, and Will's a little more light and airy. So you could see that, and it's like that was what they were playing off of with them.
Yeah,
how they were able to kind of target them.
Yeah, and going into this idea of the library that I was starting on a little bit. First things first, let's bone up on history. Charles Holloway says, if men had wanted to stay bad forever, they could have. Agreed? Agreed. Did we stay out in the fields with the beasts? No. In the water with the barracuda? No. Somewhere we let go of hot gorilla's paw. Somewhere we turned in our carnivore's teeth and started chewing blades of grass. We've been working mulch as much as blood into our philosophy for quite a few lifetimes. Since then, we measure ourselves up the scale from apes, but not half so high as angels. It was a nice new idea, and we were afraid we'd lose it. So we put it on paper and built buildings like this one around it. And we've been going in and out of these buildings, chewing it over. Though that one new sweet blade of grass, trying to figure out how it all started, when we made the move, when we decided to be different. And that's really a little bit of autobiography of Charles Holloway there, going into the library. So you got the library as a point of escapism, for so much for the book. Now it's a place where he went to go research. It's a place where he went to find knowledge, but even more than just like research knowledge, the knowledge of the stories that, we tell each other are stories of the human psyche. That's what I always, try and drill into this channel. So yeah, that's the human experience. It's not just, I'm going to read a book. Who cares about what story they made up? No, you care about it because this is the human story. It's the human experience, within these stories, and the ones that really resonate and carry. You can find these inner truths in them. So I love that. I love the idea of the library. It does set it up as sort of that holy place. So if the churches aren't going to be if these aren't the autumn people aren't the kind of monsters to be combated with holy water or whatever from a church, they're combated with this sort of knowledge. And that brings a little bit of like head versus heart, or at least higher cognitive ability versus animal-based instinct. Do you see that at least in there?
Mm-hmm.
And we see that when, for example, Dark is trying to seek out Jim and Will, when they're hiding in the library shelves, and he's saying, just feel it, boys, just feel it, just come here. And the witch can feel, or she senses their feelings, not really their thoughts necessarily or whatever. So
very, very predator prey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Predator prey. Then we get the first Charles Holloway's first triumph. Al, what'd you make of that? The witch comes into the library.
When he's the witch is trying to kill him.
Yeah, she's trying to slow his heart.
Oh yeah, I mean that was freaky because you could see someone, first of all, being able to talk you to death, literally. Mesmerizing him, hypnotizing him, controlling him, just what he was thinking. Like he was almost at the part where they just, I'm having a hard time like really expressing what I feel, but you can imagine feeling that way, being so near the end, but you look over and you just see this old woman twisting her fingers, and you have to laugh. And when he started to laugh, I'm like, you know what? That's the only thing you're going to be able to do is to laugh at it, because one, your hand is gone because Dark crushed it, and now you've got the witch, and then you see her go backwards when you start to laugh, and it
hurts her. Yeah,
it hurts her, and it becomes your weapon. And it was like that point. I was like, ding, he's got it. He knows exactly what he needs to do, and just drives the witch away just by the sheer nature of joy and laughter. When he finally realizes just how stupid it all kind of seems.
yeah. I like how you said that. Yeah, I don't want to push on that because when you first get to this part, you can kind of sense something's going on there, but really the only way to understand how he's able to hurt her here is to go back and look at that scene. Remember I said it was going to be important later when he and Will they're not really fully telling each other everything, but he's taking Will home from the police station, from the Mrs. Foley's incident where they were framed for stealing from her. And, they have a little they're kind of meeting in the minds, but not really getting it all. But then Charles decides to follow him up the trellis outside the house, and they get to laughing and stuff, and cracking each other up, and then trying to shush each other, and they just have this delightful moment of real connection and absolute mirth, and it happens through mirth, and that's and there were some great little foreshadowings in the way that the language was there.
I mean, and plus I know we skipped it a little bit, but just Charles's interaction with Dark when he's looking for the kids.
Yeah.
And just the interplay they have together, the menacing aspect of Dark, and it's like he kind of knew Charles was a lot stronger than he had anticipated.
Yeah. Charles was able to impede him, right?
Yeah, and
to confuse the witch, and
because well, first of all, he had to bring in the witch to kind of take care of him.
Yeah,
but he just couldn't talk it to him. He just couldn't use the fear, which is what that's their main power is fear. Yeah.
You had said that when he sees the witch, he just realizes how ridiculous it is, how ridiculous she looks and everything, and that's the only thing you can do is laugh. And I think that, that's the way to understand this, because as he says it, his focus has been so much on himself. He's been taking himself too seriously. He's been taking the fact of his life too seriously, the fact of his youth and old age and all of that. He's been taking that too seriously to the point that that's all he thinks about. He's only thinking about himself. So by finally just kind of laughing at it all, it's not that he's going crazy suddenly and just saying death is funny, hee hee. It's that he's no longer taking himself, or he's no longer just completely consumed with selfish and self-navel gazing, kind of thoughts. And that's the beginning of connection, right? That's the beginning of trying to go for others. So. And that hurts them. Now, in terms of character, so this is what I love is so cool about Charles Holloway's character arc here, because he's made a victory. Now, a lesser writer would have said, see, he learned his lesson. He's the hero now. Now he goes back into the carnival and kicks butt and saves the day, and boom, we're done. That'd have been too easy. There's a kind of an ebb and flow that needs to happen with your main characters as they grow and progress and work up to that final climax of the action, the conflict. And this is great. He got a victory, but he even himself knows, I need to figure out exactly what happened here. Something happened. It was a cool victory, but I need to figure out exactly what it was. And he goes to get his aspirin, for his poor hand. And he's.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because like I said, the moment that he starts laughing at the witch, I was looking for it. Well, I was like, man, wow. I was like, but and he says, and his obedient heart pulled rein, diddle tickle went her fingers. Charles Holloway snorted. Faintly, he giggled. And he caught this. Why? Why am I giggling at such a time? It's just, and it's that that nervous laughter where we catch ourselves doing it. I mean, you can just imagine that he's finally doing it, but then he knows, and he sees her pull back, and he just realizes at that moment, what it means.
And it's I like the way Chris Damon here says ridiculing someone or something takes away their power, its power, used in politics laden communication these days. Yeah, and it's in terms of this kind of story, it's a matter of faith. And there's a little bit of a link here to what we were talking about with It, and some of the tropes that Stephen King used in that novel, but we kind of see some of them at play here far much earlier. And that's the idea that your weapons, you must believe in your weapons for you to be able to use them. So when the Illustrated Man comes into the library, Holloway gets the Bible, but he's not really a very religious man anyway himself, so Holloway, Dark just takes the Bible and just like, shall I read through it, whatever, just kind of mocks everything like that. So you get the idea that, just nothing could stop these people. And yet when we get to the bullet section, Charles might as well have just carved a cross into the bullet, but he doesn't. He carves a smile, because he has faith that his smile, that it's that mirth, that it's that, good feeling that hurt the witch last time and will hurt her again. But that was one of the scenes where you really see Charles step up and really shine in that whole battle scene.
That was the most badass scene.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Because the whole thing when he looks at her and he just goes, "It's my smile."
Yep. Yeah, it's really, really cool. I think Daniel Heron has to leave chat. See you, Daniel. Thanks for hanging out with us, though. But it's cool because, first of all, he decides he has to raise his hand. He has to, wounded as he is, he has to be willing to step up on a stage in front of everybody. This is a man who's been so consumed with thoughts of his age, but now he's willing to step up on a stage in front of everybody. He's wounded. He's got one, gimp hand here, which is going to make him look even more old and feeble, so he's got to, but yet he's doing it for his son. He's doing it for others. It's that connectivity again. And I love the way it's worded. I can't find it right now exactly, but when he says, "I need a boy to help me with level this rifle," he's like, "Hey, my son's out there somewhere." I like how Dark looks at him like it says. I can't find the exact part, but he says he looks at him with some respect and some concern. like Dark's like, this guy's a formidable enemy that I'm up against now. He's no longer just the old man that he can easily just kill. In the library, he's like, I could kill you.
And the fact that he doesn't need to rely just on his own laughter. He gets the crowd in on it.
Exactly. He's working because that's more connectivity, right? It's bringing people together. Yeah. Steven Cruz says, that bullet scene was so badass and intense. And it's played really well too, because at first you don't know what's going on. You just know there's this bullet. The witch is nervous about it suddenly. So, maybe she's not as powerful. So you're thinking maybe she, at some point is powerful enough to deflect the bullet, but she can't now. So that's building tension. Then when Holloway actually has the bullet and he puts his mark on it, the crescent moon, you don't really, you can guess what it is, but he hasn't told you what it is yet. Then it reveals the trick. It says he sees that Dark put the wax bullet in there, the one that just kind of comes out as smoke, down the barrel, and he gave the real bullet to the witch. So that takes the so he's making you as a reader wonder then, well, is this really going to work then? I mean, it's just a trick. It's a trick. Who cares what's written on it or whatever. But then when she actually falls down dead and, they pass it off as it was just part of the act or whatever. But Holloway's like, maybe, she was supposed to catch the bullet in her teeth. Maybe my smile fired at her. Maybe that shocked her into swallowing that bullet with my smile, on it. I mean, that was just such a cool, it leaves things up in the air for you, but the picture's there and you just you go for it,
Yeah, and because I think we're at the end of chapter 47, beginning of chapter 48 is when that's going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
for those who are trying to keep up.
Yeah,
but yeah, when he, I'm trying to find just. Never mind. Go on. Sorry.
Well, Chris Damon just he said, are we skipping the witch bewitching the boys? The dust witch as she bewitches the boy. Darning needle dragonfly. Is that what she was saying? Yeah, that's her spell. Yeah. So what did you think about that, Chris? Give us let's a thought, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. It is a great picture though of what they feed on. They feed on these bad feelings, but these bad feelings are self-centered, navel-gazing feelings. So then the witch then has the power over these boys to gum up their eyes, gum up their ears, close their mouths. They don't appear to be dumb, deaf, and blind or whatever, but they are. They're somehow aware of what's going on and not aware of what's going on. She's basically hypnotizing them, making them into, little zombie boys for herself, for them to just easily walk them to the carnival, have them say hi to the people that they might pass, say hi to, but really not know enough to run or not know enough what's going on. And that's a great picture, that they draw on that, that kind of self. Now, even though Will himself has never really been, he's been concerned for Jim, so he's kind of in there by association. But
yeah, the darning needle dragonfly.
Yeah,
sew up those mouths so they not speak. God, would that come in handy sometime?
Yep. As soon as I hear Al start to lay out some big dark secrets of mine, darning needle dragonfly. Chris said, I find it a tad confusing, most bizarre scenes, since most things that happen are usually carnival centered. This scene is active magic here. Yeah, well, remember, there is active magic in the carnival. It's not as prominent because he likes to kind of play it subtly. But remember, even when they saw the carnival being put together, they saw that they put out the frames of the tents, and then the tents grabbed clouds from the sky to form their skin, to form the canvases upon the tents. So he's always, from the very beginning with the carnival, he's established that there is real magic within them, but he's also been playing it very carefully. So it won't be, this is a crazy, kooky, magical monster story, let's find a spell to defeat the monsters. He doesn't want it to be like that. He wants this to be a very internal, psychological kind of supernatural story. Hence the connection, I think, to the dragon needle darning Darning fly dragon. Oh my gosh.
Darting needle dragonfly.
I'll think of every combination of it except for the right one. Anyway, the connection between that and what what Jim's been doing, self being, wrapped up within himself and stuff. So, is it computer? What is it? Computer row guys in the chat? Excuse me for being an idiot or asking this question, but is it going to be Tuesday soon? What? I mean, yeah,
25 minutes. Oh, yeah, 25 minutes.
It's 11:30 ish. So yeah, don't really know what that means. Maybe she's got a punchline, or he's got a punchline rather going off of that.
Who knows?
Where was it going after that? So all right. So we're at the rifle section. That awesome victory over the witch, and I just think that was paced so well. Then. So that's a pretty decisive victory. So he wins a little victory almost by accident, in the library, but rolls with it, learns from it. Then he goes there and really has to step up, literally stepping up on stage, overcoming a lot of his own, concerns or fears or whatever, or self, pities or whatever, getting up there on stage for the sake of the boys, learning how to draw the crowd in, connect, stuff like that. He really gets all of that. And that's still, you can't have them, your hero's journey, so to speak, that, you got to have push and pull to the point where you do have this, it's more explicitly drawn out in more like sort of mythological stories, but where the hero dies and comes back from the dead. It's usually that's metaphorical, but, in a lot of mythology, they actually literally do that. But I think Holloway's metaphorical death here and coming back from the dead is when he enters into the mirror maze. Did you find that to be pretty profound or?
Oh yeah. Because that was like the terrifying moment. Mm-hmm. Seeing all this. I mean, that was his the biggest fear. He was facing his biggest fear at that time, mm-hmm. and was losing. Mm-hmm. I mean, he almost lost that fight.
Yeah. And who got him through that? Will. Mm-hmm. Will got him through that. And I love. Oh man, I gotta find the Gotta find that point because I love the way it's written there. Kind of geek out over that prose again. But read Casey Lork's comment there for me because I want to comment on that.
Okay. Am I wrong to be paying attention to the fact that Will is his good left hand? That has a different meaning than right hand in older literature.
Yeah, so the left hand was like the evil, if you were left-handed, that was like of the devil and stuff like that. I don't think you're wrong, and you can certainly give it a reading of that. I mean, Bradbury's drawing on enough influences where that's not too far off of his influence pool, but at the same time, he doesn't really literally connect to it. So I think it's up to you as a reader if that's if you find that interesting, you'd like kind of make that connection. Yeah, because Will is what's he completes his father here and helps him to in a lot of ways, Charles realized that this lost youth that he's always pining for, it's right there in his son. It's not lost at all. His youth is his son, connect with him and you're complete, so, but yeah, it's a good way there. Trying to find this.
What are you looking for?
This part when they're in the mirror maze.
The mirror maze. Yeah.
Oh, I'm a little ahead of it. That's why. Okay. Okay, so sorry. I should have marked this, but I got a different copy of the book right here.
Oh, good. Oh, God, I got that part. Okay.
Which part?
Yeah, let's just say dust to dust.
Okay. Charles Holloway took the next step into the maze. Ahead flowed sluices of silver light, deep slabs of shadow, polished, wiped, rinsed with images of themselves and others whose souls passing scoured the glass with their agony, curried the cold ice with their narcissism, or sweated the angles and flats with their fear. So again, the wonderful mirror imagery that he builds on every time he brings it up with Miss Foley or now with Charles Holloway in there. And this is, like as we were saying, this is Charles Holloway's most visceral fear. He's in the mirror maze, the place that's where all of people's fears are most focused and laser focused and the most powerful. Here he sees all of these reflections of himself older and older and older and older and older. And he's throwing up his hands to fend them off, but they just, throw up their hands as well. So very old, got much older, farther they marched, wildly gesticulating. His dad threw up his hands to fend off the revelation. This wild image repeated to insanity. Dad, he thought, it's you, Will said. But it was more, and then all the lights went out, and both squeezed till muffled gas. So the lights go out inside the mirror maze, which you would think is good, right? You can no longer see all of these. But I love how it says this. Will's looking for something in his pocket, something that would help. It said, if Will didn't hurry, these legions from time future, all the alarms of coming life, so mean, raw, and true, you couldn't deny. That's how Dad would look tomorrow, next day, the day after that. That cattle run of impossible years might sweep Dad under. So quick. Who has more pockets than a magician? A boy. Whose pockets contain more than a magician's? A boy's. Will seized forth kitchen matches. Oh, God, Dad, here. He struck the match. The stampede was close. They had come running. Now fixed by light, they widened their eyes, as did Dad, amazed their mouths at their own ancient quake and masquerades. Halt, the match had cried. The platoons left, squads right, had stilted muscled themselves to fitful rest, to baleful glare, itching for the match to whiff out. Then, given lease to run next time, they'd hit this old, very old, much older, terribly old man, suffocate him with the fates in one instant. That is... you don't even know if there's really literally something magical about the mirrors or if it's just the psychology of one's own reflection that you're already self-conscious about one way or the other, just piling in on you. And then you can see that
when you're older. And I mean, I know this being older, time is running out. And when you look in the mirror, you kind of see the past leading up to where you are now in your face. You remember when your face was smooth and taut and and handsome and now to be a wretch, and now to be able to start to go forward with that and imagine what you're going to look like, the aging and knowing what's going to be ahead and where it might lead, and the pain, the agony, and all that fear coming at you. It's it like I said, I don't know if the mirrors were actually, like you said, if the mirrors were actually magical or not.
Yeah.
But Charles's own mind was
crashing in on him.
Was his biggest problem at this time.
Yeah.
I mean, he may have had all this newfound power, but he's still Charles Holloway, who for the last decade has felt all these fears, has felt old, has felt time not just creeping up on him but galloping at him.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like all his worst fears being reflected on him at one time.
Yeah. So they make it through the mirror maze. Jim had woken up at the same time that Will did when the Dust Witch died. So Jim had taken, he sort of woke up. He woke up enough to be able to move on his own accord, but he leaves the mirror maze. So they're out there following him, and then they hear the Calliope music going off in the background. Now that gets to the dust thing. Did you find that? You were kind of reacting to that. What's interesting about that for you?
Well, first of all, the fact that they were looking at this thing and they hid, and I think the next thing, I think it was, let me see if I can find the part, but I'm just thinking of them breathing in part of Mr. Cougar.
Oh, that's gross. Yeah.
Because it was like, they could smell the it was like leaves and spice.
Spice of Egypt, right?
Yeah, like that. Like I was thinking of like the mummy, and like just collapsing into a pile of dust like that. But breathing that in.
Yeah.
But it's a very religious point of view too. From dust we came, from dust we shall return.
And as they realized it was Mr. Electro, I think this might be the part you're. The answer was there. That must have been him. What must have been him? The answer was there, sifting down the midway in the whirling wind devils, the burnt spice, the autumn incense that had flowered them when they had turned its corner. Later it talks about kill or cure, Charles Holloway thought. He imagined them rushed in the last few seconds, toting the ancient dust sack bone heap over starched grasses in this disconnected chair. Disconnected again, right? Perhaps only one in running series of attempts to foster, encourage, preserve life in what really was nothing but a mortuary junk pile, rust flakes and dying coils that no wind could blow alight again. Yet they must try. How many times in the last 24 hours had they run out on such excursions, only in panic, to cease activity because the merest jolt, the slightest breath, threatened to shaken the old ancient cougar down to meal mush and chaff. Better to leave him propped up in an electric warm chair. And I think that's a picture too of people's fears and people's they're disconnected to the point where they're internally connected on themselves, like him on the electricity, unable to get out and even find connection out in the world anymore. It's kind of the and the mummy doll, the Erecto set, yeah.
Yeah, a mere dust explosion in a silo of ancient grain. Gone.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Seeing in the chat here.
Will's like, oh no. No.
So then they hear this calliope music, and it was going backward, but then it starts going forward, and they're terrified because they're thinking Jim. And at this point, I've got to say, Will is such a good friend because I would just totally like, you know what, Jim, have at it.
Do it. It.
You are
Jim. It's such a. You want to be old? Go ahead.
Maybe just a little while. Come on. Now, in his defense, he's a little bit still under the spells and stuff like that, but still, like, come on.
No, but he's been like that since the beginning.
I know. Well, that was interesting too. It's a point I forgot to make. But when they were in the library, they had just had this talk. They had it all out. They had the knowledge there on the table. They figured things out with Charles Holloway, the boys did, and they knew what the Autumn people wanted and what they fed on and what they offered, and that they weren't really offering anything, that you truly wanted, And yet still, as they're lying there hiding from Dark in the library, Dark starts to say, I could turn you, or I could make you that sweet age of 25 or whatever. And Jim's heart starts to throb. It's like, oh, really? It's like, it doesn't matter how logically something's wrong, or how logically this isn't something that's best for you, or you shouldn't be doing this or whatever. When that temptation comes and it just sort of hits you viscerally, it bypasses that logic, and you feel like an idiot even when it's happening. But you're like, oh, really? It's like, no, not really. Part of you is screaming at yourself, but you're not in control sometimes. I mean, you are, but It's that discipline, and Jim has no discipline. Jim doesn't look away, right? We've been telling that the whole book. Jim looks wherever he can, gains whatever knowledge he can. It's
Yeah, poor Will. I mean, like you said, that's a good friend who's like willing to lose a few years to help his friend.
Yeah. And what he does,
which is literally what happens.
Yeah. Now it's left kind of ambiguous. They don't flat out say that they get their years back, and even hints that maybe they are a year or two older, or not maybe a full year, maybe sort of a year. It's kind of, you really have to kind of read carefully. It's not explicit, but you do get the possibility that they might have sacrificed a year or two just trying to get Jim out there.
I'm thinking Jim went a couple of years, I think, and because you're right, it did. I was trying to figure out. It's like, okay, well, it sounds like that Bradbury was having the reader almost watch it in slow motion, or having us experience it in slow motion.
Yeah,
because it took a long time for Jim to go around one time. As far as the reading, so I'm thinking a couple of years probably he went.
And then they were saying too, though, that maybe it might not even work anymore because the power of the freaks, the carnival people, aren't there at the end. So I mean, you can kind of go either way with it, but yeah, I mean, you can't be explicitly argued out of either direction you want to take it, I think. So, but But let's look at the this end thing. Now, you were saying a little something in your messages about the end. You because this is a very different end to Mr. Dark than we have in the film version. And I don't want to give away necessarily the film version yet, but you liked one better than the other, or which one? What were you saying about that?
The film version was more cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how effective. I mean, it would still be a good story, but I could see why they did what they did in the film, because I think it would appeal to the mass audience more. It's more exciting, like I said, more cinematic, more more special effects going at it. Like, so I'm trying not to give anything away. Where in this one, it's a much simpler fate for Mr. Dark. Like, it's basically a hug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And,
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he hugs. I mean, like, it's that hug, and knowing that he no longer has that power over anybody there. The fear in the people is gone.
Yeah. So it's a well-laid trap, but it's also good writing here in terms of keeping going with Charles Holloway's character progression and growth and what he's learning. So when the Calliope had been going backwards for a few minutes before it went forwards, that was Dark, going back to be a boy of like 9 years old, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So as they get Jim off the carousel, Jim's he's in a coma. They don't know if he's dead or not, whatever. This little boy runs up and says, help me, you got to get me home. The tattooed guy's after me and my dad or whatever. And it tells you pretty quickly, Charles doesn't take very long at all to recognize this is Dark. He recognizes, and this is cool. Okay. So he recognizes his temptation. Once you really start to resist a temptation, and this is, I'm using kind of religious language, but you don't have to be religious. I mean, everybody's got, you're tempted by things you shouldn't do, period, no matter what, if you're religious or not. And it's so easy to reason yourself into it, justify it or something like that. But as soon as you start to resist it a little bit, you gain a little bit of strength and knowledge over it. So when it comes to you in a different way, you kind of recognize it in the sheep's clothing that has come to you that way or something, and Holloway recognizes from immediately, I think from the boy's gait or the way his pelvis is connected to his neck, it just looks unnatural in some way. And you would think, okay, well, this is, that the man who was so strong he could crush your hand is now a little boy. You've got more physical power than him. But that's not the route he goes. No, I'm not going to murder you. I'm not going to do what you would do. Then I'd become you. I'm going to just show you compassion because you can't stand it, and you're going to kill yourself because you can't handle being close to people like me. And that's what happened. He hugs him until he fades away. You're right. It's not very cinematic necessarily, but it's still a beautiful literary picture there.
Yeah, like I said, it works very well in the prose form, as opposed to like on a screen. I just think it would have been anticlimactic for it in a movie style.
Well, the other thing about that, and again, I'm not going to say what the movie did, but when the movie kills off Dark, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the last thing. There's not a lot after that. Here, though, the book is carefully ordered in the way that Dark is taken care of. Once Dark fades away, the freaks fade away. There are no more threats from the carnival around them. Yet we still have a lot of pages here to get through. They have to save Jim, and then they have to conquer the threats within themselves. They have to all go back and look at that carousel and finally conquer the true threat of the story, which is their own internal demons. These autumn people are there only to feed off of that and sort of give body to them. But the real threat, the real problem here is, what they've been pining for on the inside. And that's cool. But yeah, you're right. Cinematically, it wouldn't be as great.
Yeah. And they all, and like I said, they all experience that last temptation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even Will.
Even Will. I mean,
he's human.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, well,
But I like the way Jim wants like 3 or 4 years. Will's like, maybe 1.
Yeah. I mean, even at this point, I could still easily sympathize with Charles Holloway still wanting to go back. I myself would, like I said, would ride that horse around for about 20, about 25 times. That would be good. 29. I wouldn't mind being 29 again.
But you think about it. I mean, on the one hand, you think about it a little bit like that, and like, oh yeah, yeah. But as Charles himself points out in the book, if you're younger and go older, you've still got a little boy's mind and an older man, so you don't know how to do anything that you can do now that you're old. But the same thing, if you're older and suddenly you become a younger man, that might be kind of cool because, like, hey, yeah, man, my body wouldn't hurt as much or whatever. But then, like, oh man, then I'd have to go hang out with the other people who are that young these days. Yeah.
That would be torture.
Now, I don't mean, because I know we have some people in the chat here who are younger. I'm not painting with a specific brush there, but in general, if that's like your go-to crowd, that's not in the experience area as you are, they don't have those life experiences. It could be awkward. Muhammad said, "Hey."
Yeah, I mean, I've always been young at heart anyway. Mm-hmm. I think I'd do all right. Knowing, like I said, you're not going back in time necessarily, so you can't, you still are starting with today, but still, you have some lessons learned that might, you could put it into better practice maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
No, like to keep yourself young instead of worrying about getting old. Again, you might be, I don't know, give yourself a chance to actually enjoy it this time around.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, like, one of my favorite daydreams is daydreaming, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to go back, knowing what you know now, wouldn't it be cool to go back and redo it, and avoid all the horrible mistakes you made and everything. But then you have to realize that those mistakes are part of what made you who you are now, including the person who's wise enough not to make those mistakes.
Right.
So if you could go back, and let's say you retained your wisdom that you have now and you went back, perhaps going through those things a second time might sour you and you might not end up the kind of person you'd like to be right now as much as you are now or whatever. And it's the same thing with just going back in the sense of this book. If you, with all of your, knowledge and wisdom, return to a younger man's body, it may be that the experiences of a younger man's body aren't exactly what they were to you when you didn't have the knowledge already about them, or may jade you in a different way or something. I mean, you never know. You can kind of think yourselves in circles about it, but I think it all comes down to, you are who you are because
sometimes we're just better off being who we are and when we are, no matter what ails us, no matter what injuries we have had. We are who we are, and we need to be happy being that way.
But chat's having none of it. Chris Davis is 23. I'd have no problem with that. Imagine hair. Green Line Girl says 29 and holding. I still get mistaken for 20. Well, that's pretty awesome.
That's not bad.
Anand Karana says reincarnation is a big factor in my culture. So sometimes when we see someone who is kind of too smart for their age, people assume that person is the old soul. Yeah, I hear that. The old soul becoming young again. Yeah. Yeah. And then you meet those people who are, wow, that's a brand new soul right there.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that temptation would be definitely, I think all of us would not mind having that chance. Even if it were just for like have that one day you get to ride the carousel, but then you go back to normal the next day or something. That could be the way to go.
Well, it's kind of like much as I hate to reference the movie because it's horribly executed in every way, the concept's an interesting one. Avengers Endgame, when they desperately need to go back to bring everybody back. They need to go back, and yet Tony Stark doesn't want to lose what he's gained in the interim because he's gained a child, and they've gained their own. And that's the thing. The universe can never work from this point because they've become different people. In that 5-year gap, everybody who's 5 years older now are different people than they were back then. So it's a weird thing to do, and they shouldn't have done it. But it poses those interesting questions nonetheless. Yeah. Yeah, the chat.
But like I said, the one thing I felt was kind of interesting, and I'm glad how he wrote it was when they're running back home, they're having the little race, and and he starts to feel that little pitter patter in his heart. Not quite
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just that little reminder. It's like, it was still an old man, but But then he goes,
What'll happen if I run?
yeah, let's give it a shot.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he still does it, which I think was a great character moment.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, they've got he realizes that what's important isn't death, it's what you do before death,
Right.
And that's great. There was one line though that I think would be a really great thing to end on. So I'm gonna find it. They're dancing around with the harmonica. And as you said, I mean, props to Charles Holloway for doing all this with a completely broken, shattered hand.
Yeah, I gotta say his hand is like decimated.
I do like it too when Jim finally wakes up and he just like looks at his full friend and his dad jumping around like idiots. What are you doing? It's when they're getting ready to go back and they say what time it's to be. No, the churches ring. Again. Nope. I'll find it here in a second because it's a perfect thing to end on.
It's late. Must be midnight straight up.
Yeah, where is that?
Well, mine is page 214.
What chapter?
The very last one. It's like the very last pages.
Okay.
Pages.
Is the beginning of a paragraph, right?
Yeah. So, it's at the bottom of a page of mine.
How many pages? I mean, how many paragraphs down from the start of the chapter? Oh, gotcha. I got you. Here it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so here it is. This is the line. It's late, must be midnight straight up. Obediently, the city, and this is Charles Holloway talking. Obediently, the city hall clock, the Baptist church clock, the Methodist, the Episcopalian, the Catholic church, all the clocks struck 12. The wind was seeded with time. Oh, I love that line. The wind was seeded with time. So what they've done in this, what Ray Bradbury's done in this paragraph, they've been outside of town. They've been out off in the fringes, where the carnival is, where time can stand still and all that kind of stuff. You win those victories there. You win those battles there, but you have to go back. You have to go back into town. And what is town? Connectivity. That's where you don't be that unconnected fool. And he names a bunch of ways to that town connects with each other, with city hall, with government, with all the different various churches. The wind was seeded with time because you live in time. Time can't be your enemy. You have to accept it at some point. That's one of the ways that I love. When I think it was when Holloway just wakes up and sees the witch over him, he says he accepted her. He just accepted everything as it is, and that's what made him unable to just kind of let go of the fear and just laugh at it all. So just that acceptance too. It's such a profound story and profound tale, and I like. And one of the things, it gets kind of vague at the end on certain things because it doesn't want to nail it all down in a neat little package and moral for you, tie it all up in a nice little moral at the end, because that's not what it's about. It's about you to draw the connections for, and pull these truths and lessons out on your own and in ways that most resonate with you.
Mm-hmm.
So Casey Lork said, I'll say, yeah, they become different people, since when does I'm with you till the end of time mean when time travel becomes an option? I'm dumping you. Good point. Yeah. Anad Karina says, I have a question about lettering for a graphic novel. How does that work exactly? I've got an artist who can pencil, ink, and color. Lettering's where I'm lost on. I get somebody else to letter for me. So find a letterer, or you can just figure out doing it in Photoshop. I mean, but I thought it was better to get a professional. You'll have to pay more for that, but I don't know. You can also get a book on it too. I'm sure. Find some resources online. So I guess we're finished up with the book then, since people are done with that.
Just smelling my book, that old book smell.
Yeah. So we're gonna watch this. Well, hang on. Let's see. I'm going on a trip this Saturday. I should be back in time. Let me double check. I'll announce on Saturday if everything's go for sure for usual. It might be that I might push it to Sunday, but I don't think I'll have to. I think Saturday night, the usual rewatch, we're going to watch the movie version of this. So that'll be fun. And then the next weekend we'll start on Jekyll and Hyde, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, which is a very short novella. And
Dr. Jekyll
and Mr. Hyde, yes. And I'll actually divide that into two readings so we can have it done before Halloween, and I'll announce what page or whatever, or what chapter, or what point we're reading to, chapter or whatever, on tomorrow's office hours stream. So
very cool.
Yeah. No game is streamed tonight, Muhammad. I am flipping exhausted. Oh my gosh. I am just wiped. I need to take a nap now and then get some work done. Luckily, I don't have to get up early tomorrow. I don't have Alyssa until later on in the day tomorrow, so I get to sleep in, which I'm very much looking forward to. But Alyssa and I are we're gonna decorate for Halloween. So she's coming over once she's dropped off over here for the day. We're gonna decorate for Halloween outside, put the lights up and everything. She loves that. I got some pumpkin spice cupcakes and all kind of stuff.
Oh, that sounds so cool. I wish I was there.
Gonna play our Halloween party Pandora Station and hang out outside. Hopefully it won't be too freaking hot.
I was working in the lab late one night. Yeah. Sorry.
There you go. Go Al. Go Al.
No, I don't have the lyrics. I don't know the rest of them.
And then it says, well, you compare Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde's influence on comic books too, like how it helped shape the Incredible Hulk. Yeah, I mean, it's an archetype. It's definitely an archetype. So we can talk about different versions of it that have cropped up. So there's that. Janice said, why can't I be invited? Well, I imagine you guys don't live anywhere near I do. Plus, it's a daddy-daughter thing. She loves it. I have a blast with her. She'll help me scoop out. I don't know. I might carve a pumpkin tomorrow, even though, but it'll rot before Halloween. Well, big whoop, I'll carve another one. Everybody's like, oh, don't do it so early.
Dip it in resin.
Yeah, I know.
It'll last forever.
It's the experience. So we'll see. But yeah, when's the Addams Family?
This week.
Is it this weekend that's coming out? Sweet.
Yep,
okay,
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should try and work in a rewatch of the old Addams Family at some point somehow. This like during a weekday or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
They're creepy and they're kooky, mysterious and spooky. They're all together, ooky. The Addams Family.
The last thing I'll share is my new campaign, which is up now. This is available for you to sign up for updates for. So if you haven't put your email address in, what are you waiting for? There's no commitment to buy. All you have to do is just put your email address in. It tells me that I've got X amount of email addresses that I can give updates for. And I can, as we get closer, it's going to be towards the end of this month, but I can say, hey, campaign's launching soon. And if you do have your email address here, and if you then decide to back this campaign, you'll get a free print of Contrara there, the assassin. So it's a sword and sorcery comic. It's going to be my next campaign. So do sign up for it if you haven't. I just put the link in the chat there as well. So that's how to get to this page that I'm at. But all you do is drop your email there. It's got a little information on the book, art by the great Pablo Romero. So it's going to be awesome. And yeah, if we can get to 100 emails, I forgot how many I have now, but if we can get to 100, I'll include a discount for these early update signer uppers.
Any estimation on when it'll go live?
End of the month. So
Okay.
Either I don't know if I want to do Halloween night. I want to do so we can do a stream the night it goes live, So I might it might even be because Halloween's on a Thursday, might even do it the very 1st of November that night. So yeah, I'll announce it as we, put your email address in there and you'll get the update. So there you go. So yeah. So that's pretty much all for me. I'm
already thinking about tiers and extras and cool stuff.
Yeah. I got a lot of cool things planned and stuff. Just need to solidify it all, and yeah. So it's gonna be fun. Going to be fun.
Awesome.
What's coming up? What's coming up from you, Al?
Probably going to try to do a rewatch this Saturday afternoon.
Very nice. Matinee with Al, and then
the matinee with Al, and a co-host to be determined later.
Oh,
I don't know yet.
Oh, Mara hasn't committed. She might be busy.
Yeah, I don't know what her schedule's like, so
yeah,
I'll figure it out. Not sure what movie, not sure whatever, but I'll once I figure that out, I'll post it. I mean, God, even Fan Man doesn't know what film he's doing Friday yet.
Yeah, I know. I know.
He's ran about like 4 of them, and I think I can get. I've got one. I don't know. I don't have the other 2, and I don't know how to get them without paying for them. Or streaming them, which is just that's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's Oh, you don't want to stream while you're live streaming? Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, because it just the live stream takes so much streaming juice.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why I think it. I get a lot more sputter during
Yeah. Oh
that
my
time.
gosh. Al, stop. Just stop.
What? What's wrong with sputter? Like a car engine sputters. What's wrong with sputter?
It's not that you said
Is there, is there,
sputter.
is it
It's
a
that
word?
is
Is
it
it a
first
word
you're
that
first you're
bothers you like
talking about streaming juice, and then you talk
moist?
about sputter, and I think you're just doing this on purpose.
Well, I was thinking like like electrical juice.
Oh,
You're the one with the dirty mind, my friend.
right.
You're the one. You're the reason I can't eat a corn dog and have everybody look at me.
You want them to look at you while you're eating it?
I was eating hot dogs for lunch today, thinking I know I couldn't do this in front of the professor because he would look at me funny. I was enjoying my Nathan's hot dog.
Oh, don't name it.
What, Nathan's? What are we talking? Are we talking about brand naming thing here or something?
Oh.
Best hot dog on the market, man.
Oh, back to the book. Thank you, Chris Damon. Thank you for saving us. One of the badass lines by Holloway was "choke on my smile" when he's about to punch or to shoot the witch. And he
Yeah.
says just loud enough for her to hear it, or he mouths it in a way that only she can know because she kind of senses his soul. He's like, "That's my smile on the. That's not a crescent. It's a smile on the bullet. Choke on my smile." Yeah, that is pretty cool.
It's always kind of funny. I was once part of a. I was the audience member that was brought up to engrave something on a bullet for a bullet catch act.
Oh, nice. What'd you engrave?
Yeah, at the an A.
Did you know that it was
Wow.
that this was the trick, or did you?
Well, I didn't know how they did it. I knew there was a trick to it because I'd seen them do it before. It was at the Maryland Renaissance Festival.
Oh, nice, very cool.
The Whip Flash was the name of the duo. They called themselves Whip Flash because they would do whip stuff, and but at one particular act they did a bullet catch.
Yeah.
And they did that and gave me the little bullet. I've got it somewhere.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Just a little lead pellet.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So do follow Al. His channel link is in the description, and you can follow him on Facebook at Big Al's Review-O-Rama, Facebook.com/Iconic Batman, Iconic Universal Monsters. You got some things going on for Universal Monsters for this month? Anything cool?
You know what? Universal Monsters just takes care of itself.
That's true. It's already Halloween themed.
Already Halloween themed. Halloween 360 was it 24/7 365.
There you go. Very cool. Yeah, so jump over there.
And I did update Maidens and Monsters today.
Oh, cool.
It's little Planet of the Apes action with Miss Stella Warren, if people remember that. The only good thing about the Tim Burton film.
I have a video dropping tonight. I recorded it earlier today. My video about I was right about the Joker movie. So that'll be out.
I want to try to do a video tomorrow. Tomorrow's a bed day. So might be a good day, and I think someone will be going shopping, so it should be quiet.
Oh, nice. What video are you gonna do?
Thinking about just talking about some of the trailers that dropped. Because we had Picard drop, we had Vikings drop, which is a favorite of mine. If anybody watches the show Vikings, and just something. What's the other one that? I can't remember what it was, but something else. I'll figure it out.
Yep. So I put in here. This is my Catholic Bible Geek channel. This is the link. I'm dropping the link in the chat as well. There we go.
I'll either do a video or I'll do a live stream. I don't know.
This is the one I did on my first Super Saints series, Saint Michael the Frontiersman, like a Green Lantern type archetype. So I'll be doing another one of those soon. But tonight, I think if I can wake up, get a little rest, and wake up, I'm gonna do one about the Rosary, because today was the feast day of Our Lady of the Rosary. So maybe I'll do that. Talk about Bible stuff like that. So.
I have done the Rosary every day except one. I missed one day in the last, say, 6 years, maybe. I say the Rosary every day, me and my mother.
Okay. well, we're all not as holy as Al, but whatever.
No, I'm just going to say I have a very I am looking forward to hearing it because like I said, I have such a connection with the rosary. So
yeah, it'll be cool if I can like I said, if I can get enough sleep to get a little presence of mind and knock it out. So, all right, I think I'm just babbling now at this point. I need to close this out so I can go down. So,
isn't that what we normally do? Just babble.
Yeah, we will be back tomorrow for the office hours. We'll all be rested and ready to go, and
that's our professional babble.
That's right. Yeah, that's the weekly weird there. So that'll be tomorrow. You'll have a video from me until then. Maybe something from Al tomorrow. But yeah, that's all. So anything else, Al?
No, just final thought. Really enjoyed the book. Glad it was chosen. I was a little hesitant when you first brought it up, but it turned out to be a very enjoyable story.
Cool. Yeah. One day you'll stop doubting me. Al, I look forward to you never doubting me again.
I know. I knew when I heard her say that was going to be an issue with you. I knew it.
We're talking about Nancy and her little awful character she became in season 3. So.
Jeez.
Stranger Things. All right, that's it. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching.
Good night. Oh, I forgot to tell you I had a dream.